in cause number 2022-0D01584, State of Texas versus Cassandra Torres. Announcement of council, please.
Alyssa for the state. State is ready.
Rick Hoffman on behalf of Ms. Torres, ready.
And
Judge,
I'm sorry, Ms. Torres is appearing remotely from the jail annex. Mr. Huffman, go ahead.
Your Honor, I have not had a chance to meet with Ms. Torres. We actually my office represents the complaining witness in this underlying case.
Oh,
And I filed a motion to withdraw for that reason, and that's why I haven't spoken with Ms. Torres. Judge, the complaining witness is Monica Olivares, and I think she's actually in this court as well on probation, and she doesn't have any pending probation status hearings. I think the last one was pretty recent. So there's kind of been an ongoing probation situation with her. And that's one of the reasons I felt that we needed to do a motion to withdraw.
okay. So I'm seeing that there is a motion to withdraw that was filed both on the 19th and the 22nd. I'm not sure that I've seen those. But Ms. Torres, do you understand what the public defender's office is stating? They have a conflict, so I need to appoint you a different attorney. I will ask Ms. Jasmine, if you can look, Coordinator Jasmine, to look and see if you can get the next 5 attorneys for this type of case on the list. I'll get with you on how to do that. We will come back in 1 week. Okay.
Judge, I'm not too familiar with the facts or the situation of the case, Judge. If it's one of those that she might be released today, I just wouldn't want to delay that if that's a possibility, Judge.
Is it also set for a bond hearing?
No, I just didn't know if the court was inclined to do something like that. I would obviously not be opposed.
No, we'll reset until we can get her a
Okay,
new
Judge.
1 week. Ms. Torres, we will come back in 1 week at the same time, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Martinez Tobias Annex. May I have Martinez Tobias? It's a plea, Judge.
Yes, sir. Give us 1 second, sir.
What's the charge?
The charge is burglary, habitation, and Mandel controlled substance penalty group 1. Greater than or equal to 4 grams, but less than 200 grams.
Any dismissals?
No, Your Honor.
And it's all one cause number?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay, go ahead.
In cause number 2020-0D04875, State of Texas versus Tobias Jacob Martinez. Announcement of council, please.
Alyssa for the state. State is ready.
Rick Hoffman on behalf of Mr. Martinez, we're ready.
Mr. Martinez, I have you down for a plea today. Is that your understanding of what we're doing?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Martinez, did you also consent to do this over Zoom rather than in person?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a written signed consent form on Mr. Martinez?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Martinez, in order to get started with your plea, I need to swear you in. Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, go ahead and put your hand down. Would you state your name and date of birth for the record, please?
Tobias Jacob Martinez and 6/12/1997.
I'm the same way. I'm just being patient.
Okay, is that the annex? If it's the annex, there's a lot of background noise.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Martinez, could you repeat that again? Your name and date of birth?
Yes, Tobias Jacob Martinez and my date of birth is 6/12/1997.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. As I mentioned, I have documents indicating to me your intent to plead guilty in these cases. So I need to ask you some questions. The first of which is about the plea paperwork. There is a document marked as State's Exhibit number 1. The plea papers within that document. You're guaranteed certain rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to trial by jury, the right to counsel, the right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and the right to call witnesses on your behalf and in your defense. Mr. Martinez, do you recall reviewing State's Exhibit number 1 with your attorney and signing that document?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand everything contained within that document?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Mr. Huffman, have you had more than 10 days to prepare defense in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you explain the plea papers to your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has understood the admonishments, rights, and consequences of giving up these rights by entering his plea today?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Mr. Martinez, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Mr. Huffman, any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter his plea?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Martinez, have you ever been found mentally incompetent by any court?
No, ma'am.
Ever been examined by a doctor or psychiatrist who has found you mentally ill?
No.
So based on your testimony, your attorney's representations, and my observations of you, I'm going to find that you are competent to enter your plea today. Sir, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you born?
Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Mr. Martinez, in this case, you were charged with 2 counts, 2 felony counts. The first count is burglary of habitation. Sir, to that charge, what is your plea, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And in count 2, the charge is manufacture or delivery of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 in an amount between 4 and 200 grams. To that charge, what is your plea, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Are you making each of your pleas freely and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
I will find you are making your pleas freely and voluntarily. Ms. Elizalde, would you summarize the evidence, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Had this case proceeded to trial, the state would have been able to prove that on or about the 27th day of August 2020, and anterior to the presentment of this indictment in the county of El Paso and state of Texas, Tobias Jacob Martinez, hereinafter referred to as a defendant, paragraph A, did then and there with intent to commit a theft, enter a habitation without the effective consent of Dakota Burkhardt, the owner thereof. Paragraph B, did then and there intentionally or knowingly enter a habitation without the effective consent of Dakota Burkhardt, the owner thereof, and attempted to commit or committed theft of property. As to count 2, on or about the 27th day of August 2020, in the county of El Paso, and anterior to the presentment of this indictment, Tobias Jacob Martinez, hereinafter referred to as a defendant, did then and there and to knowingly possess with intent to deliver a controlled substance, namely heroin, including adulterants or dilutants, in an amount of 4 grams or more, but less than 200 grams. At this time, we would ask the court to introduce into the record or admit into the record State's Exhibit 1, plea papers, and State's Exhibit 2, that's the disclosure form.
No objection, Your Honor.
States 1 and 2 are admitted. What is the plea agreement?
8 years community supervision under the deferred adjudication provisions, a $2,000 fine, 250 hours of community service, TAP, UABA, curfew, and standard terms and conditions.
Mr. Huffman, is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
And Mr. Martinez, is that your understanding as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, understand that the plea agreement is not binding on the court. However, if I were to reject it, I would allow you to withdraw your pleas. If I follow the plea agreement, you may not appeal this case except on matters raised by written motion and ruled on before trial or by permission of the court. The next document I'm going to ask you about is a 1-page document entitled The Trial Court Certification of Your Right to Appeal. It is a document that explains your appeal rights. Because this is a plea bargained or negotiated case, you do not have an automatic right of appeal. Mr. Martinez, do you recall reviewing the trial court certification with your attorney and signing that document?
Yes, ma'am.
Was signed by your attorney and signed by the court as well. Finally, the last document, the motion for deferred adjudication. Mr. Martinez, do you recall reviewing and signing the motion for deferred adjudication?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Huffman, have you explained to your client both the benefits and detriments of deferred adjudication?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martinez, do you understand that if you violate any condition of deferred adjudication, the court can proceed to sentence you up to the full range of punishment for these offenses? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you still asking the court to grant you deferred adjudication?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, I will find that there is sufficient evidence to substantiate findings of guilt. However, I will not enter findings of guilt at this time. Instead, I will defer further proceedings and place you on community supervision pursuant to the plea agreement for a period of 8 years. There will be a $2,000 fine. The entirety of that is probated. 250 hours of community service, screened for TAP, urine and breath analysis, curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. You are also not to have any contact. Is the complainant in the burglary, is there any relation there?
No, Your Honor.
No contact with the complainant or come within 200 yards of the place of residence of Dakota Burkhardt. Is there anything further, Mr. Huffman or Ms. Elizalde?
No, Your Honor.
A few things, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, my client lives in New Mexico with his father.
Mhm.
And we would ask the court to, well, a few things. One, he doesn't have a place to live here in El Paso. We've reserved a bed for him at the rescue mission. And we would ask the court to include the language for transport to the rescue mission. And I've got that language, Your Honor. I can read it or I can email it to the clerk. We'd ask the court to include that language in the order so that the rescue mission can, I think it's the sheriff's department that transports him to the rescue mission.
That's fine.
Would the court like me to just read it?
Email it to Ms. Welch, please.
And then I was emailing back and forth with Miss Pineda. He does now have an address in New Mexico. And I've got that address and I can email that to Miss Pineda as well.
Okay.
Your Honor, he has a case. He's on probation in New Mexico.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's possible, but we would ask the court to run this case concurrent with that case in New Mexico. And I've got the cause number. I just wasn't sure if that's something that we could even do.
What do you mean concurrent? He's already on probation and what? He wants to get credit for stuff he's done over there for here?
He hasn't actually gotten out. He pled to a case in New Mexico and was extradited to El Paso. So he hasn't really started the probation out there. He's going to be doing the drug court program out there in New Mexico, or actually that's what we're hoping he can go do once his probation gets transferred over there. But no, he hasn't really started because he's been in custody since that plea.
So, okay, rescue mission will include the language. He's asking to transfer to New Mexico. That's a process. Whatever that process is, Mr. Martinez, you have to follow it. I mean, once he's transferred, then I got to think that those things, I'm not sure if I'm understanding it as running concurrent, but I think if there's a drug class, things like that, I mean, he's going to have to do it per our probation anyways, but it's going to be a New Mexico program. So I'm not sure what you're asking in terms of concurrent. I mean,
yeah, the time he gets the time credit basically would be for both, rather than him finish his probation there and then start this probation. I just kind of wanted to just in case there's any confusion out there with the probation department, if we could just include some language that the two probations be concurrent.
Carla, is there any, I mean, if New Mexico, is New Mexico going to accept him when he has, is it a disposed of case or not?
The case in New Mexico, it's disposed. He pled to the drug court out there. So he's just waiting to get out so he can start the drug court.
I mean, if it makes a difference, that's fine. They can run concurrent. I'm just not understanding why we have to do that. It seems like redundant, but that's okay.
I don't know. I just to be safe, Judge, if that's okay. Can I read that cause number?
Sure.
D-307-CR-2022-00272. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, so again, Mr. Martinez, you will be placed at the rescue mission until you have either a place to be here in El Paso while your transfer is processing. Do not get lost. Stay in contact with probation, and the case will run concurrent with the Mexico case D-307-CR-2022-00272. Carla, is there anything else that we're not catching that you're catching?
No, Your Honor, I just want to clarify because of what Mr. Huffman mentioned regarding the concurrent. It's not regarding the actual time, correct? Because
No, I'm not talking about time. I mean, he's doing probation over there, I'm assuming, right?
And that, yeah, Judge, and that probation's, I think, just 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So, but we got much more years in this case.
Okay, so and I guess that's where I'm confused. What I understand the request to be is, for example, okay, he's doing his probation over there. Let's say he accomplishes, a class or two or whatever, just in terms of things he has to do on probation. And then he gets transferred. I will, as long as probation is saying they conform with the conditions that he has to do here in terms of a class, then that's fine. But time-wise, no, we're not talking about time.
What I'm saying, time, Judge, like, let's say he does the 2 years probation out there, and completes completes that term. Well, that 2 years will be, he'll be given credit for the 2 years on this sentence as well. So then he'll just have 6 years left.
Well, I mean, I don't understand. He's already on probation. He starts his probation here today, right?
Right. Right.
So what are you talking about? He gets 2 years credit. I'm
If
not,
if he's getting credit from the day, that's all we need to know. That's all I'm concerned with, because I guess I will digress.
okay. That's all that I'm talking about, Carla. So if we need to come back on something.
And I'll send
Anything
the
else?
address. I'll send the address, Ms. Pineda. Oh, the only thing I didn't have was the unit number. It's a mobile home, but I didn't know which unit number. So maybe Mr. Martinez can give that to me.
I'll get it to you.
Oh, no, like right now.
Well, I mean, I don't have the actual number for the spot. My dad just had to pay for the spot ahead of time.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get that to the probation.
I have the phone number for the place.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
So just make sure that probation has your current contact. So he's going to be placed at the rescue mission and then he's got a prospective place to stay, Mr. Huffman?
He does, Your Honor, and it's my understanding that him being a resident of Las Cruces, it's a fairly quick transfer to New Mexico.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Don't get lost in the meantime, Mr. Martinez. Yes, Ms. Welch, if you will resend me the release order with the information. Thank you. Okay, is there anything else?
Oh, ma'am.
Mistake.
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
Ms. Pineda, anything?
No, Your
Well-
Honor, I will call Mr. Martinez at the annex shortly. And just so that everybody is aware and Mr. Martinez can listen, we do need accurate information. Whatever interstate office is going to request, they are going to require for an actual address, unit number, all that has to be provided in order to expedite the transfer. I just wanted to make that.
Okay.
And Judge, I think I forgot to ask if the court would consider waiving the fine in this case.
The entire fine is probated.
Okay,
And that's due to his indigency, Mr. Martinez. That means on the fine, you won't owe that fine as long as you're compliant with probation. I am not going to waive the fine, but Mr. Martinez, as long as you're doing and complying with everything on probation, you won't owe that fine. If you're not in compliance, then you're gonna owe the 2,000. Okay?
Okay.
All right. What
Okay.
else?
that's all I have. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Judge, we're back to Mr. Beck.
Okay, so let's take a